What? In fact, Twin Lakes, Jim Keithley back inside the indoor golf studio once again with another, what I hope is helpful video for you. I thought it'd be a good idea to go back and look at some of my review videos that I've sent out to some of my previous students. I always put a little review video at the end of a lesson as helpful reminders. And I thought you might find some helpful golden nuggets inside these review videos. So let's take a look at 3 or 4 of these, and hopefully you can gain some knowledge as a result. So I suppose like your fatal flaw more than anything would be just this your trail arm and kind of what the trail arm is supposed to do, not only at an address position, but as we take the club away. And just to give you kind of a better look, your trail arm gets too high, okay, too straight, and the right hand gets too on top of the grip, which causes a weakening or an opening of the club face as you take the club away. And once that club opens early, you have to do something really late to shut that club and get it back to square. So the first thing I would say is we've got to soften this trail arm. So if we were to take, and we're going to assume that your grip is good, and it's, for the most part, I like your grip, Brian, but reasonable left hand, let's get this right hand and right arm on the club better. So I want your hands to kind of be, and we talked about kind of this position 1, just straight up and down. Position 2 would be turning kind of a steering wheel to the right. And then position 3 would be turning it more to the right. I want that left hand to be a little bit stronger. And then there's that 1, 2, 3 position. And the pit of the back of the elbow is straight up. And that's how we want to put that arm on. And then your wrist can work independently of forearm and shoulder, and we just want that trail hand to be put on the side of the grip. So now, instead of this look, we now have this look, okay? And ultimately, like we said in the as we were hitting golf balls, your arm would be too high. You suck the club in too early, so that club gets back behind you. And what we want is a softening of the right arm. And now, as we work back through position 2, P2, that golf club fits right through those 2 noodles with a neutral club face. So let's make sure that we get that right arm, right hand on there properly. There has to be a softer right arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, does that make sense? So just as a review, most of the things that we talked about today were all things that we need to clean up early in your swing. Your club face is just getting so out of position on that takeaway. That club is getting way open and it's getting stuck behind you. So at that point, you don't know it, but that club face is just so open subconsciously. In order to square it up, you have to steepen, and come over the top, which is no good. So we kind of gave you an idea of what neutral looks like, and we use this tennis racket. So a neutral position would look more like that, because that club face matches up to my spine, and your club face opens and gets behind you. And that's that fatal flaw. You can't recover from there. The only way that you can recover from there is to steepen and exit left, and that's causing those pulls and those cuts. So let's get the face configured proper early, and then from there we were talking about path. And we discovered just by using the hula hoop, that's what your path should look like, you know, and that club just travels down and to the right and then back up and to the left. Your path looked more like this, you know, so everything was traveling down and to the left. That causes poles, and as we take loft away, it will cause that golf ball to cut. So you have to become a better practicer. People are willing to practice like yourself, but they don't practice the right things, and they only pay attention to the golf ball. Let's worry less about the golf ball and change some habits and some patterns and some arm structure. So I'm going to give you 2 alignment stakes, as I told you. And I told you how to put those in the right position, and that's important. But we're just going to a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 practice swings to 1 golf ball that you hit. So what does your practice session look like? Let's check that club face at position 2. From there, we can trust that it's in a neutral position, and we're going to work real hard and see if we can get this club path to travel down through these, in this case, 2 noodles. In your case, it will be just basic alignment sticks. So we rehearse this 5 times. Make sure we get in and out of the ground. There has to be some turf interaction. And then from there, give yourself a golf ball. I would recommend, as I told you, put it on a tee. Tee it up real low, because that's going to give you good low point feedback. And then after we've rehearsed 5 times, give yourself a golf ball. Check the face, reset. Then it's just 2 turns. 1, 2. And then you have to self-coach. You have to self-police. Did I get in and out of the ground properly? Did I strike it somewhat out of the center? Did I hit either one of these noodles on the way back? Because you will hit this one on the way back and then this one on the way down. And then you can become just as important as I am. You can become your own coach, okay? So everyone, you know, as we talked during the lesson, everyone has somewhat of a fatal flaw, and yours is less of technique and more skill. And when we separate kind of skill versus technique, well, skill is hitting the ground in the right location, getting out of the ground, and then paying attention to where you're just striking it on the face. And let me have your club real fast. So if I were to show the camera where you're striking, there's where you're striking the face every time. It's way out of the heel. And these work, right? The ones that are towards the center, and then everything over here doesn't. And that's what our margin of error looks like in golf. It's a stinker, but that's just what golf is. Our margin of error is about a 1/2 inch. So when you would strike it off the heel, golf ball would just ricochet over into the screen, okay? Wouldn't have any height, that wouldn't sound good, wouldn't feel good. And you would like be, that was a bad golf swing. It wasn't. It was just your skill development, trying to find the center of the face more often. And most people just don't recognize that. So centerness of contact would be one of your flaws. And then the other one is kind of like everyone, the steepening of the shaft in transition. So what we talked about today was, you know, and I'm going to give you one of these club boxes. Let's become a better practicer, and let's get more out of a practice session. So if I were just set a club box directly on the outside, hopefully you can see that golf ball. Yeah. Directly on the outside of that golf ball, that's going to prevent you from hitting it out of the heel. It may not prevent it, but at least you would be able to monitor, because if your club came through space and time and moved that box, you would strike it out of the heel. You couldn't miss the box and strike it out of the heel. Not only that, it will keep you from coming over the top, because there's no way that if you come with a steepening and in an internal rotation of that trail arm, if you were to hit that box, you would never be able to get to that golf ball, right? Does that make sense? So we put the box out there. I say, let's try it a time or two with no box. Let's get as close to the box without hitting it, scraping it off the toe. Take a couple practice swings. Okay, we make sure, like we said, we want some turf interaction. Okay, 2 good swings. Now let's bring golf ball into play. Get it really close to that box. Now let's see if we can make 2 turns. Let the golf ball get in the way. Miss the box. Okay, that didn't move. If this were to happen, and you were to see that that box moves slightly. Okay, see how that golf ball went over to the right and the box moved? I didn't measure where I hit it, but I guarantee you the first ball struck out of the center, the way a club is designed, and that next ball was living over here. So we have to enhance. First thing, we have to bring awareness to centerness of contact, and then we have to enhance how you deliver that club into the ball, right? All right, so those were just a sneak peek into what a lesson feels like, sounds like, looks like. And those were post-lesson reviews. So if you've never taken a lesson, that's kind of an insight to what it might, or what you could expect. And one thing that I tell people all the time is that everyone is an individual. Everyone brings different skill sets and problems and strengths to every lesson, so we can't teach everyone the same. And those 3 videos were a great indication of that. So if you have any questions, or if you want anything, if you want to dive deeper into any of the subjects that we talked about, Bradley and I would love to help you out. So you can always email me or give me a call, and we'll set something up and we can dive deeper into some of this golf knowledge. So until next time, take care, Tom.